Sri Ramakrishna was at Balaram Bose's house in Calcutta. Rockall and M were seated near him. The master was in ecstasy. He conversed with the devotees in an abstracted mood. Master, let me assure you that a man can realize his inner self through sincere prayer. But to the extent that he has the desire to enjoy worldly objects, his vision of the self becomes obstructed. M. Yes, sir. You always ask us to plunge into God. Master joyously, yes, that's it. Let me tell you that the realization of self is possible for all, without any exception. M. That is true, sir, but God is the doer. He works through different beings in different ways according to their capacity to manifest the divine. God gives to some full spiritual consciousness, and to others he keeps in ignorance. Master, no, that is not so. One should pray to God with a longing heart. God certainly listens to prayer, if it is sincere. There's no doubt about it. Devotee, yes, sir. There is this I consciousness in us, therefore we must pray. Master to M. A man should reach the Nitya, the absolute, by following the trail of the Leela, the relative. It is like reaching the roof by the stairs. After realizing the absolute, he should climb down to the relative and live on that plane in the company of devotees, charging his mind with the love of God. This is my final and most mature opinion. God has different forms and he sports in different ways. He sports as Ishvara, Deva, man, and the universe. In every age he descends to earth in human form as an incarnation to teach people love and devotion. There is the instance of Chaitanya. One can taste devotion and love of God only through his incarnations. Infinite are the ways of God's play. But what I need is love and devotion. I want only the milk. The milk comes through the udder of the cow. The incarnation is the udder. Was Sri Ramakrishna hinting that he was an incarnation of God? Did he suggest that those who saw him saw God? Did he thus speak about himself when speaking of Chaitanya? It was a hot day in June 1883. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting on the steps of the Shiva temples in the temple garden. M arrived with ice and other offerings and sat down on the steps after saluting the master. Master to M. The husband of Mani Malak's granddaughter was here. He read in a book. The book was the autobiography of John Stuart Mill. He read in a book that God could not be said to be quite wise and omniscient. Otherwise, why should there be so much misery in the world? As regards death, it would be much better to kill a man all at once instead of putting him through the slow torture. Further, the author writes that if he himself were the creator, he would have created a better world. M listened to these words in surprise and made no comment. Master to M. Can a man ever understand God's ways? I too think of God sometimes as good and sometimes as bad. He has kept us deluded by his great illusion. Sometimes he wakes us up and sometimes he keeps us unconscious. One moment the ignorance disappears, and the next moment it covers our mind. If you throw a brickbat into a pond covered with moss, you get a glimpse of the water, but a few moments later the moss comes dancing back and covers the water. One is aware of pleasure and pain, birth and death, disease and grief, as long as one is identified with the body. All these things belong to the body alone, not the soul. After the death of the body, perhaps God carries one to a better place. It is like the birth of a child after the pain of delivery. Attaining self-knowledge, one looks on pleasure and pain, birth and death, as a dream. How little we know. Can a 1-seer pot hold 10 seers of milk? If ever a salt doll ventures into the ocean to measure its depth, it cannot come back and give us the information. It melts into the water and disappears. At dusk, the evening service began in the different temples. The master was sitting on the small couch in his room, absorbed in contemplation of the Divine Mother. Several devotees also were there. M was going to spend the night with the master. A little later, Sri Ramakrishna began to talk to a devotee privately on the veranda north of his room. He said, "It is good to meditate in the small hours of the morning and at dawn. One should also meditate daily after dusk." He instructed the devotee about meditation on the personal God and on the impersonal reality. After a time, he sat on the semicircular porch west of the room. It was about 9 o'clock. "Master, those who come here will certainly have all their doubts removed. What do you say?" M. That is true, sir." A boat was moving in the Ganga, far away from the bank. The boatman began to sing. The sound of his voice floating over the river, reached the master's ears, and he went into a spiritual mood. The hair on his body stood on end. He said to M, "Just feel my body." M was greatly amazed. He thought, the Upanishads describe Brahman as permeating the universe and the ether. Has that Brahman, as sound, touched the master's body? After a time, Sri Ramakrishna began to converse again. "Master, those who come here must have been born with good tendencies. Isn't that true?" M. It is true, sir. "Master, Adhar must have good tendencies." Adhar is a friend. M. That goes without saying. "Master, a guileless man easily realizes God. There are 2 paths, the path of the righteous and the path of righteousness and the path of wickedness. One should follow the path of righteousness." M. That is true, sir. If a thread has a single fiber sticking out, it cannot pass through the eye of a needle. "Master, if a man finds a hair in the food he is chewing, he spits out the entire morsel." M. But you say that the man who has realized God cannot be injured by evil company. A blazing fire burns up even a plantain tree. Banana tree. Okay. Saturday, July 14th, 1883. Sri Ramakrishna arrived at Adhar's house in Calcutta. Rakal, M, and other devotees were with the master. Adhar had arranged to have Raj Narayan, a famous singer, and his party recite the Chandi. Now, the Chandi is the hymn to the Divine Mother. Raj Narayan began the recital in the worship hall. He sang, "I have surrendered my soul at the fearless feet of the Mother. Am I afraid of death any more?" As the master listened, he became filled with divine fervor and joined the musicians. Now and then he improvised an appropriate line. Suddenly he went into samadhi and stood still. The singer sang again, Who is the woman yonder who lights the field of battle? Darker her body gleams even than the darkest storm cloud, and from her teeth there flash the lightning's blinding flames. Disheveled her hair is flying behind as she rushes about. Undaunted in this war between the gods and the demons, laughing her terrible laugh, she slays the fleeing Asuras, and with her dazzling flashes she bears the horror of war. How beautiful on her brow the drops of moisture appear. About her dense black hair the bees are buzzing in swarms. The moon has veiled its face, beholding the sea of beauty. Tell me, who can she be, this sorceress, wonder of wonders? Shiva himself, like a corpse, lies vanquished at her feet. Kamalakanta has guessed who she is. With the elephant's gait, she is none other than Kali, mother of all the worlds. Sri Ramakrishna was in deep samadhi. Saturday, July 21st, 1883. It was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon when Sri Ramakrishna, with Ramlal and one or two other devotees, started from Dakshineshwar for Calcutta in a carriage. As the carriage passed the gate of the Kali temple, they met M coming on foot with 4 mangoes in his hand. The carriage stopped, and M saluted the master. Sri Ramakrishna was going to visit some of his devotees in Calcutta. Master, to M with a smile, "Come with us. We're going to Adhar's house." M got joyfully into the carriage. Having received an English education, he did not believe in the tendencies inherited from previous births, but he had admitted a few days before that it was on account of Adhar's good tendencies from his past births that he showed such great devotion to the Master. Later on, he had thought about this subject and had discovered that he was not yet completely convinced about inherited tendencies. He had come to Dakshineshwar that day to discuss the matter with Sri Ramakrishna. Master, well, what do you think of Adhar? M, he has great yearning for God. Master, Adhar too speaks very highly of you. M remained silent a while, and then began to speak of past tendencies. M, I haven't much faith in rebirth and inherited tendencies. Will that in any way injure my devotion to God? Master, it is enough to believe that all is possible in God's creation. Never allow the thought to cross your mind that your ideas are the only true ones, and that those of others are false. Then God will explain everything. What can a man understand of God's activities? The facets of God's creation are infinite. I do not try to understand God's actions at all. I have heard that everything is possible in God's creation, and I always bear that in mind. Therefore, I do not give a thought to the world, but meditate on God alone. Once Hanuman was asked, "What day of the lunar month is it?" Hanuman said, "I don't know anything about the day of the month, the position of the moon and stars, or any such thing. I think of Rama alone." Can one ever understand the work of God? He is so near, yet it is not possible for us to know him. Balarama did not know that Krishna was God. M, is that true, sir? Master, God has covered all with his Maya. He doesn't let us know anything. Maya is lust and greed. He who puts Maya aside to see God can see him. Once when I was explaining God's actions to someone, God suddenly showed me the lake at Kamarpukur. I saw a man removing the green scum and drinking the water. The water was clear as crystal. God revealed to me that Satchidananda is covered by the scum of Maya. He who puts the green scum aside can drink the water. Let me tell you a very special, very secret experience. Once I had entered the wood near the pine grove and was sitting there when I had a vision of something like the hidden door of a chamber. I couldn't see the inside of the chamber. I tried to bore a hole in the door with a nail knife, but did not succeed. As I bored, the earth fell back into the hole and filled it. Then suddenly I'm in a very big opening. Uttering these words, the master remained silent. After a time he said, "These are very profound words. I feel as if someone were pressing my mouth. I have seen with my own eyes that God dwells, even in the sexual organ. I saw him once in the sexual intercourse of a dog and a bitch. The universe is conscious on account of the consciousness of God. Sometimes I find that this consciousness wriggles about, as it were, even in small fish." The carriage came to the crossing at Shova Bazaar in Calcutta. The master continued, saying, "Sometimes I find that the universe is saturated with the consciousness of God, as the earth is soaked with water in the rainy season. Well, I see so many visions, but I never feel vain about them." M. with a smile, "That you should speak of vanity, sir." Master, upon my word, I don't feel vanity even in the slightest degree. M. There once lived a man in Greece, Socrates by name. A voice from heaven said that he was wise among men. Socrates was amazed at this revelation. He meditated on it a long time in solitude and then realized its significance. He said to his friend, "I alone of all people have understood that I do not know anything. But every man believes he is wise. In reality, all are ignorant." Master, now and then I think, what is it I know that makes so many people come to me? Vaishnavacharan was a great pundit, scholar. He used to say to me, "I can find in the scriptures all the things you talk about, but do you know why I come to you? I come to hear them from your mouth." M. All your words tally with the scriptures. Navadip Goswami also said that the other day at the festival at Panihati. You told us that day that by repeating the word Gita a number of times, one reverses it and it becomes Tagi, which refers to renunciation. Renunciation is the essence of the Gita. Navadip Goswami supported your sentence from the grammatical standpoint. Master, have you found anyone else resembling me, any pundit or holy man? M. God has created you with his own hands, whereas he has made others by machine. All others he has created according to law. Master, laughing to Ramlal and the other devotees, listen to what he is saying. Ramakrishna laughed for some time and said at last, "Really and truly, I have no pride, no, not even the slightest bit." M. Knowledge does us good in one respect at least. It makes us feel that we do not know anything, that we are nothing. Master, right you are, I am nothing, I am nobody. Do you believe in English astronomy? M. It is possible to make new discoveries by applying the laws of Western astronomy. Observing the irregular movement of Uranus, the astronomers looked through their telescopes and discovered Neptune shining in the sky. They can also foretell eclipses. Master, yes, that is so. The carriage drove on. They were approaching Adhar's house. Sri Ramakrishna said to M, dwell in the truth and you will certainly realize God. M, you said the other day to Navadeep Goswami, O God, I want thee. Please do not delude me with thy world-bewitching Maya. I want to realize thee. Master, yes, one should be able to say that from one's innermost soul. Sri Ramakrishna arrived at Adhar's house and took a seat in the parlor. Ramlal, Adhar, M, and other devotees sat near him. Rakhal was staying with his father in Calcutta. Master to Adhar, didn't you let Rakhal know that I was coming? Rakhal, it was become Swami Brahmananda. Adhar, yes, sir, I have sent him word. Finding that the master was eager to see Rakhal, Adhar at once set his carriage to fetch him. Adhar had been yearning to see the master that day, but he had not definitely known that Sri Ramakrishna was coming. Adhar, you haven't been here for a long time. I prayed to God today that you might come. I even shed tears. The master was pleased and said with a smile, you don't mean that. It was dusk and the lamps were lighted. Sri Ramakrishna saluted the Divine Mother with folded hands and sat quietly absorbed in meditation. Then he began to chant the names of God in his sweet voice. Govinda, Govinda, Sachidananda, Hari, Hari. Every word he uttered showered. Ramlal sang in praise of Kali, the Divine Mother. Thy name I have heard, O consort of Shiva, is the destroying Mother. Out of thy womb the world is born, and thou it is that dost pervade it. Art thou Kali? Art thou Radha? Who can rightly say? Mother, in every living creature thou dost have thy dwelling place. As Kundalini thou dost live in the lotus of the Muladhara. Above it lies the Swadhisthana, where the four-petaled lotus blooms. There also thou dost make thy home, O mystic power of Kundalini. In the four petals of that flower, and in Vajrasana's sixth petal at the navel of Manipurna, the blue 10-petaled lotus flower. Through the pathway of Sushumna thou dost ascend and enter there. O Lady of the Lotuses, in lotus blossoms thou dost dwell. Beyond them lies the lake of nectar in the region of the heart, where the 12-petaled lotus flower enchants the eye with scarlet frame. When thou dost open it, O Mother, reaching it with thy lotus feet, the age-old darkness of the heart instantly scatters at thy sight. Above, in the throat, is the 16-petaled lotus flower of smoky hue. With the petals of this flower there lies concealed a subtle space, transcending which one sees at length the universe in space dissolve. And higher yet, between the eyebrows, blossoms the lotus of 2 petals, where the mind of man remains a prisoner and past controlling. From this flower, the mind desires to watch the sportive play of life. Highest of all within the head, the soul enthralling center is, where shines the 1,000-petaled lotus, Mahadeva's dwelling place. Having ascended to his throne, O spouse of Shiva, sit beside him. Thou art the primal power, O Mother, she whose senses are controlled. The yogis meditate on thee as Uma, great Himalaya's daughter. Thou who art the power of Shiva, put to death my ceaseless cravings. Grant that I may never fall again into the ocean of this world. Mother, thou art the primal power, thou the 5 cosmic principles, Who can ever hope to know thee who art beyond all principles? Only for thy bhakta's sake dost thou assume thy various forms, and then thy devotees' 5 senses merge in the 5 elements. Mother, it is thyself alone that he beholds as formless truth. Ramlal sang the lines. Above in the throat is the 16-petaled lotus flower of smoky hue. Within the petals of this flower there lies a subtle space, transcending which one sees at length its universe in space dissolve. The master said to him, listen, this is known as the vision of Satchidananda, the formless Brahman. The Kundalini rising above the Vishuddha chakra enables one to see everything as Akasha. Yes, sir. Master, one attains the absolute by going through the universe and its created beings conjured up by Maya. By passing through the nada, one goes into samadhi. By repeating Om, one goes beyond the nada and attains samadhi. And I think we'll stop there because then they're starting to eat. Are there any questions about what we've just read?
What is Akasha?
Akasha is the space, the ether, the Akasha, the all-pervading space, if you want to call it space. Any other questions? Nope. Okay. Let me see. I think we've got a list of what's happening. Okay. Tomorrow, Swami Aurupeshananda will give a lecture at 11 o'clock, The Liberation Game. Wednesday, February 1st at 5 p.m., we'll have the reading of Swami Subodhananda. Saturday, February 4th at 5 p.m., we'll have the Bhagavad Gita class with Swami Sarvadevananda. And Sunday, February 5th, we will have a lecture by Swami Sarvadevananda, Ramakrishna Shiva. Okay? And I think that covers it pretty much for the next week and a half. So it's good to see all of you, and we'll hope to see you stay safe, stay healthy. We'll end with the chant, Om Shanti, 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Panamastu.